What kind of quality can you expect from a £50 CCTV camera? Because that's the price of the Veezoom 5MP. This is a PoE CCTV camera, meaning that it powers using just a standard network cable, but you will need a PoE switch, NVR, or a PoE injector to power it. If you don't have any of these, then you can use a power pack, but this doesn't come with one in the box. The specs look good on paper, with support for motion and human detection, as well as privacy masking and colour night footage. Everything is in the box that you are going to need, except for the power pack if you needed one of those. There's a cover which can be unscrewed and removed to expose the internal speaker, reset button and memory card slot. Footage can be stored directly to a microSD card, and it can take up to a 256GB card. I'm not a fan of the huge gap around the slot because it's very easy to drop a memory card in there. You will need to install the Veezoom app on your mobile device and create an account and set a password. Make sure you set a password that you don't use on any other account. We'll explain this shortly. Adding the camera didn't bring any issues at all, with us clicking on add a device, pressing the QR button in the top right and scanning the QR code on the camera itself, and it was all done in less than 10 seconds. Beginning with footage in daylight with quite a bit of distance between the camera and the cars, which is what we are primarily focusing on. The registration plates on the cars can be seen and read, but in an ideal world you will want the camera to be closer than what we've got it, which is around 30 to 40 feet away. The auto exposure seems to make things a little too bright from distance with the Veezoom, with our Hikvision handling the colours much better, but you would be able to spot any incidents just fine. Night footage brings us some pretty good results where we can see people walking past, but do expect some ghosting due to the lack of the exterior light and the distance we are from the camera. Putting it up against the Hikvision camera once more, and I would say that the Veezoom is giving us the clearer picture of the two. There's noticeable ghosting on both, but the Veezoom seems to handle it better, meaning that you would have more of a chance of identifying someone. Using the colour mode did actually bring a decent amount of colour to the image, and we can still make out the registration plates on the vehicles. There is more noticeable grain, and it would be quite difficult to identify someone from this range, but I'm surprised how well it's lit up the image. Having it installed in close proximity brings a good looking image during the day, and it's going to be easy to identify someone. The camera is set to the settings you get straight out of the box, which is 2560 by 1920 and 20 frames per second. The 20 frames per second is the maximum that this camera can achieve at any resolution. The IR lights do a good job during the night, with it bringing light to the image and letting you see what's going on, and it will give you a decent chance of identifying someone, or if you need to keep an eye on the local cats too, then this will do the job. Using the colour mode which is available, and this is actually really good, and I think I would prefer to use this over the IR mode. The one issue you may run into though is that if you get too close to the lens, then you will become washed out because the lights are extremely bright. Moving it to another position, and we're getting a decent looking image using both of the modes. You will notice a blue border around all of the recordings, and this is something that we haven't been able to remove using the app. When you rip the footage onto your mobile device, you also get the green motion detection box around people when they move.
This is a test of the internal speaker. This is the kind of audio you can expect to get from it.
We've used a 64GB micro SD card, and we managed to get 4 days worth of footage, and that was when we was recording 24 hours a day, so expect to get more days if you're only recording the motion detection. We took the memory card out of the camera and put it into our computer, and we were greeted with numerous folders, and in each of these are the individual videos. They are in a weird .media format, which didn't play using our VLC player. We did manage to get them to load up using Media Player Classic, and the footage played fine. All of the clips were 10 seconds long, and we couldn't forward wind through any of this footage. The Veezoom app is quite easy to navigate, and there's plenty of options for you to play with. You can record either 24 hours a day or just when motion has been detected. There is no forward wind option though in the playback, so if you record 24 hours a day, then you will need to swipe and hopefully land on where an incident has took place. I personally prefer the motion detection because at least it breaks up the footage and you know something is happening when you scroll through it. There's the option to have your footage stored on the cloud, but there is a charge to this. We can have notifications sent to our mobile device when movement has been detected. You can access the camera using your web browser, but you are going to need to find the IP address yourself, as the app will only display the public IP for it. Remember when we said to use a unique password just for this? The reason being that when you try to load this up in your web browser, we get a not secure message at the top of the screen, and it says that your connection is not secure and anything you put in here could be stolen by attackers, which is why we suggest using a totally different password that is not linked to any of your other accounts. Once logged in, there is a live view of what's happening now, and some options on the bottom which allow the scaling of the image, taking snapshots, recording video, and to use the internal speaker and microphone. Settings at the top give us a load of options. We can go in and change the encode type, we get options to change the resolution if we wish. The image quality can be changed as well. We've got plenty of options in there to adjust the brightness and sharpness, etc. Most of these do a great job anyway, even though they are set on auto. But if you feel like you're not getting the desired image, then you can go in there and manually start swapping things around, so you get yourself full control over the exposure settings. You can schedule your recordings through the browser as well. The camera comes with the OnVIF protocol, which means that it should be compatible with NVR boxes, which are not the brand of Veezoom. It can be linked to software like Blue Iris on your PC, so you can record footage locally rather than onto the microSD card. And it's compatible with apps like TinyCam on your mobile phone, which means that you can have multiple cameras from different manufacturers, and it means that you can live view them all using the one app rather than having multiple apps for each individual camera. Now, we did spot a few issues along the way. The one that we previously mentioned where you can't fast forward through footage, but we also couldn't play back any footage when we used the web browser, as nothing was detected. When we checked the SD card through the browser, it kept asking for the card to be formatted, even though the card was working perfectly fine and recording footage through the mobile app. And chances are you will want to pick up another network lead, because the one in the box is only 1.5 meters long, which is extremely short.